You ever watch someone get blamed for something that wasn't their fault and still turn around and save the day? That's exactly what happened when a Dallas janitor got told, "Fix this or you're fired." Before we dive in, tell us what city you're watching from. And as you listen, think of someone who works hard but never gets noticed. You might see them differently after this. What happened next? You need to see it for yourself. But before we continue, hit subscribe, like this video, and tell me in the comments which part of the story hit you the hardest. I believe this story found you today for a reason. Now, let's get back to the story. The ballroom of Marlin Mansion glittered like a Texas dream. Crystal chandeliers shimmered across tuxedos and designer gowns, while soft jazz floated above the noise of billionaires congratulating each other. Outside, valet drivers lined up Rolls Royces along straight lane, their headlights glinting off the limestone walls. At the center of it all stood Sean E. Horton, the man Dallas magazines called the tech king of Preston Hollow. Tonight was supposed to be his victory lap, the launch of his company's latest innovation, an AI-powered art display said to redefine creativity itself. Tall, confident, and perfectly groomed, Sean looked every bit the billionaire visionary, one who had everything under control. Cameras loved him. Investors adored him. His staff feared him. And just a few feet away, near the edge of the marble stage, a woman in a navy blue janitor's uniform mopped quietly, unnoticed. Megan Thomas. The one person in the room who didn't belong. Or so they thought. Then it happened. The giant LED wall behind Sean flickered. The music stopped. And within seconds, the screen turned to static. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as the words appeared, bold and red. "The truth will come out." Gasps spread. Phones came out. Every camera pointed toward Sean, whose smile faltered as he turned toward his frozen executives. Swiss, Erica, Frank, Mary, and Anthony. "What is this?" he shouted. "Who let this happen?" His staff exchanged panicked looks. No one moved. Then, Sean's gaze fell on Megan, the janitor by the corner wall, standing frozen, mop in hand, her eyes wide. He jabbed a finger toward her, voice booming through the ballroom. "You fix this or you're fired." Laughter burst across the room. Guests smirked, phones filming every second. A billionaire had just ordered a janitor to repair a multi-million-dollar AI system. But while the others laughed, Megan didn't. She took one steady breath and stepped forward. "I can try," she said softly, voice trembling but certain. The laughter dimmed. Even Sean looked confused. She walked past the reporters and knelt by the control console, her mop clattering to the floor beside her. Her fingers moved over the keyboard like someone who'd done this before. 0.5 minutes later, the screen blinked back to life. But instead of relief, Megan whispered something that froze the entire room again. "Mr. Horton, this wasn't an accident." Everyone stared at her. This janitor who spoke like an engineer, who shouldn't have known what she knew. That was the night everything changed for both of them. Because what started as a billionaire's humiliation was about to uncover a secret that could destroy them all. When the last guest left and the chandeliers dimmed, Marlin Mansion fell into uneasy silence. The polished marble floor reflected fragments of light from the malfunctioning LED wall. Megan stood alone before it, her reflection ghostly in the black screen. Her mop bucket sat forgotten behind her. She rolled up her sleeves and reopened the system logs. The console's glow painted her face in blue. To anyone else, it was just gibberish, lines of random symbols, but to Megan, they told a story. She typed faster, her old instincts returning like a language she hadn't spoken in years. Her mind flashed back to late nights at UT Dallas, coding in the library, dreaming of building things that mattered. Then came her mother's heart failure, the hospital bills, the eviction. The dream died, replaced by a mop handle and a paycheck that barely kept the lights on. But tonight, something stirred again. Beneath the routine updates, she saw it. An extra string of code, foreign, encrypted, malicious. Whoever planted it hadn't meant to crash the system. They meant to steal from it. Her pulse quickened. "This wasn't an accident," she whispered. Behind her, a voice answered. "What did you just say?" She turned. Sean Horton stood at the doorway, jacket off, expression unreadable. For the first time, he looked less like a billionaire and more like a man who just realized he might not control everything after all. "Mr. Horton," she said softly, "someone inside your company did this." And for once, he didn't have an answer. Have you ever been blamed for something you didn't do and no one believed you? If you've ever stood in that silence, wishing someone saw your worth, then stay with Megan. This story is for people like us. The mansion at night was a different world. Quiet, hollow, and echoing with the hum of machines that never slept. The marble floors that gleamed under chandeliers just hours ago now reflected only the dim glow of emergency lights. Somewhere upstairs, a clock ticked. Down below, in a janitor's closet tucked behind the service corridor, Megan Thomas worked like a ghost. Her old laptop, its corner cracked and keyboard worn smooth, balanced on a stack of paper towels. The screen bathed her face in pale light as she typed command after command, tracing the mysterious line of code she'd found earlier. Each line led deeper into the system, into something buried and deliberate. Between keystrokes, the silence pressed against her. The smell of cleaning agents lingered in the air. She opened a vending machine dinner, lukewarm noodles and a soda, and ate in slow, distracted bites. This was the rhythm of her nights. Work, clean, repair, repeat. Millions walked through polished hallways by day, never seeing the hands that kept them shining by night. Then voices. Megan froze. Footsteps echoed down the hall. She muted her laptop and pressed her ear to the thin metal door. "If this gets out, Horton's done," a woman hissed. It was Erica. A lower voice answered. "You think we'll find out?" Swiss said the upload failed. "Yeah, but someone noticed a breach during the live stream. He's furious." Megan's hand shook as she fumbled for her phone, hitting record. The footsteps drew closer. Shadows passed on the door. She held her breath. A second later, the voices faded. Turning the corner toward the east wing, her pulse pounded in her ears. She turned back to her laptop, scanning the trail of digital footprints. And there it was, a login session tied to an admin account, traced not to Horton Dynamics headquarters, but to Marlin Mansion itself. She leaned back, whispering words her late father once told her. "Fix what's broken, even if it ain't yours." The next evening, the world felt almost normal again. Almost. The Dallas sun had slipped below the horizon, leaving the parking lot of Kroger on Northwest Highway washed in amber light. Megan parked her old sedan between two gleaming Teslas, grabbed her reusable bag, and stepped into the cool hum of fluorescent aisles. She wasn't there for much, just grocery for her mother, soup cans, white bread, a few apples. But her mind wasn't in the moment. Every beep of the checkout scanners, every flicker of the overhead lights pulled her back to that hidden line of code still looping in her memory. Her mother had called earlier, voice soft but tired. "You work too hard, baby." "Just doing what I have to," Megan had said, forcing a smile she didn't feel. She turned down the produce aisle and froze. Two voices, low but sharp, came from behind a stack of oranges. "I told you not to use the AI code," one hissed. Megan knew that voice, Anthony, the smooth-talking operations chief. "If she finds a back door, it all points to us." Frank snapped back. Her heart slammed in her chest. She leaned closer, pretending to examine the avocados. Anthony's tone was tight with panic. "You don't understand. Horton's already suspicious. That janitor, she was in the system." "Then we handle it," Frank growled. Quietly. Megan's hand trembled as she slipped her phone from her pocket, tapping record. Every word burned into digital proof she hadn't expected to find between fruit and fluorescent lights. They moved away toward the bakery, still arguing. Megan stood frozen, her reflection trembling in the metal produce scales. She realized she wasn't just cleaning up after other people's messes anymore. She was standing in the middle of one that could destroy her life. She placed an apple in her cart, exhaled slowly, and whispered to herself, "Tomorrow, I tell him everything." Morning light poured through the glass walls of the conference room at Marlin Mansion, cutting through the tension like a blade. The long mahogany table gleamed beneath the weight of silence. "Sean, Horton sat his head, stone-faced, while his top executives, Swiss, Erica, Frank, Mary, and Anthony, shifted uncomfortably in their seats. No one spoke. Coffee cups went untouched. Outside, the fountain still sparkled like nothing was wrong, but inside, every breath felt heavy. Sean broke the silence first. "Someone in this room tampered with the system," he said, voice low but steady. "You embarrass me, my company, and every investor who trusted us. So let's start talking." Eyes darted across the table. No one dared answer. And then, from the back of the room, a quiet voice cut through the air. "I think I can help with that." Heads turned. Standing near the door was Megan Thomas, still in her Navy janitor's uniform, holding her phone. Her pulse hammered, but she forced herself to step closer. "I found something," she said, placing the phone on the table and pressing play. Frank's voice exploded from the speakers. "If she finds the back door, it all points to us." The reaction was instant. Erica gasped and dropped her coffee, the brown liquid splashing across the table. Swiss muttered a curse under his breath. Anthony's jaw tightened, eyes flicking toward Frank. "Is this a joke?" Frank demanded, standing abruptly. "No," Megan said evenly. "The timestamp on that recording matches your system logins from the night of the gala." Anthony opened his mouth to deny it, but Sean's glare froze him mid-word. "Enough," Sean snapped. "Effective immediately. We're conducting a full internal audit. No one leaves until I know who did this." As the room erupted in whispers, Megan stepped back, unseen once more. But for the first time, she wasn't invisible. Sometimes the people who save us aren't wearing suits. They're wearing uniforms, tired hands, quiet hearts. If stories like this remind you of someone you've overlooked, remember their name. Remember Megan. Rain lashed against the windows of Marlin Mansion, thunder rolling over Dallas like a warning. The gala lights were long gone now. Just darkness, hums of security systems, and Megan Thomas, hunched over a battered laptop in the janitor's closet once more. Her hands shook as she scrolled through endless lines of code. Each file she opened peeled back another layer of deceit. Then she saw it, an encrypted vault buried deep within the system, locked behind multiple firewalls. She typed faster, rerouting through hidden directories until the screen finally blinked open. There it was. Transaction logs. Offshore accounts. Frank's name. Her breath caught. Millions funneled out of Horton Dynamics, one careful transfer at a time. The digital fingerprints all pointed to him. She grabbed her phone, recording every detail, planning her next move. She would take this straight to Sean. Finally, proof. Finally, the truth. Then crash. The closet door flew open, splintering against the wall. Megan screamed, stumbling backward as a masked figure lunged in. The intruder kicked over her laptop, the screen shattering, sparks spitting across the floor. "Stay away from this," the voice hissed, low, distorted. Megan darted for the door, ducking as a heavy flashlight swung past her head. She ran barefoot down the back corridor, heart pounding louder than the thunder outside. The mansion's lights flickered from the storm as she yanked open a maintenance hatch and crawled inside, the narrow tunnel swallowing her whole. Crouched in the dark, water dripping from the pipes above, she clutched her phone against her chest. The only evidence left. Every instinct screamed to give up, to run home to safety. But she saw her mother's tired face in her mind and heard her father's voice. "Fix what's broken, even if it ain't yours." Megan wiped the rain from her cheeks, whispered to herself, "I'm not stopping now," and disappeared deeper into the tunnels. The first light of morning spilled weakly through the rain-soaked windows of Marlin Mansion. The storm had passed, but its shadow lingered. Megan's shoes squelched against the marble floor as she marched down the corridor, dripping wet, exhaustion carved into every line of her face. She didn't knock when she reached Sean Horton's office. She burst through the door. Sean looked up from behind his desk, startled. "Miss Thomas?" Her voice trembled, but not from fear. "I know who did it. I know everything." In short, gasping breaths, she told him everything. The hidden code, the Kroger recording, the offshore account, and the man in the mask who tried to silence her. Sean listened in stunned silence, his expression shifting from confusion to disbelief, and finally to shame. "I told you to fix it or be fired," he muttered, voice cracking. "You did both." For a long moment, they just stared at each other. Two people from opposite worlds, connected by a disaster that had stripped both of their pretenses away. Then Sean straightened, jaw set. Get security. Now, no one leaves this mansion. Within minutes, guards swept through the halls. The staff gathered in the conference room as tension thickened like smoke. Frank sat stiffly, eyes darting toward the exits. When Sean confronted him with the evidence, the executive's composure shattered. This is insane. Frank shouted, knocking over his chair. Then he bolted. Stop him. Sean yelled. Megan didn't think. She acted. Grabbing a fire extinguisher, she sprinted after Frank and sprayed the white cloud straight into his face. He stumbled, coughing, blinded, and crashed into a marble pillar. Security tackled him to the floor as alarms blared through the mansion. Reporters outside captured the chaos in real time. Within the hour, headlines flashed across Dallas screens. Dallas billionaire's janitor exposes corporate espionage at Preston Hollow Mansion. And for the first time, the world finally saw Megan Thomas. That evening, Marlin Mansion no longer felt like the palace it once was. The corridors were still, the chatter gone, replaced by the faint crackle of fire in the grand study. Outside, Dallas twinkled under a clear night sky. Inside, Sean Horton sat in silence, the weight of the day pressing heavy on his shoulders. The door opened softly. Megan Thomas stepped in, hesitant, still in her uniform but with a quiet strength that hadn't been there before. Her hands were folded in front of her eyes meeting his without fear. Sit, please, Sean said. His voice, once sharp and commanding, now carried something new, humility. For a long moment, neither spoke. The flames danced between them, reflecting in the glass walls behind Sean's desk. Finally, he leaned forward. You saved me, he said quietly. You saved my company, my reputation, and I treated you like you didn't exist. Megan's lips curved in a faint, almost shy smile. You didn't see me, she said softly. Most people don't. They see the mop, not the person holding it. Sean looked away, exhaling hard. I built $1 billion company and still couldn't see what was right in front of me. He reached into a folder and slid an envelope across the table. This is for you. Megan hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a check and a letter bearing the Horton Dynamics seal. Her eyes widened as she read. Full scholarship to finish your degree at UT Dallas. Job offer pending graduation. Her voice trembled. You don't have to. I do, Sean interrupted gently. You fix more than my system, Megan. You fix my perspective. The fire popped softly between them, casting warm light over two very different people bound by one truth. Sometimes the most valuable people are the ones no one sees. Outside, the Texas night stretched wide and calm, like the start of something new. The Dallas skyline shimmered gold beneath the setting sun, glass towers gleaming like fire against a fading sky. From a rooftop terrace of Horton Dynamics headquarters, the city looked peaceful, steady, like it finally exhaled after a long storm. Megan Thomas stood near the edge, the wind tugging gently at her hair. Her ID badge caught the sunlight. Lead Systems Analyst Megan Thomas. A year had passed since that chaotic night at Marlin Mansion. The headlines had faded, but the story remained, retold by business journals, whispered in boardrooms, admired by those who'd once looked right through her. Megan had finished her degree at UT Dallas, graduating with honors. Her new office overlooked the same skyline she used to clean around. The rhythmic chop of helicopter blades broke the calm. A sleek black aircraft descended onto the landing pad, stirring her hair into motion. The door opened, and Sean Horton stepped out, flanked by his longtime friends George Moreno and Maurice Gordon. He was smiling, really smiling. Still carry that mop around? He teased, hands in his coat pockets. Megan laughed, only as a reminder. He joined her at the railing, gazing out at the horizon where the light faded over Preston Hollow. You didn't just fix my company, Megan, he said softly. You changed how I see people. You reminded me what success is really built on. She smiled at that, quiet content. The city lights below began to flicker on, one by one, until Dallas looked like a constellation spread across the earth. For a long time, neither spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was full, The kind that only comes when everything broken has finally been put back together. If you've ever been underestimated, if someone's ever told you you're replaceable, let Megan's story remind you, worth can't be fired. If you love this story, don't just scroll away. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell us in the comments when the world you're watching from not for story, but for every unseen hand that keeps the world running.